Hey Nick, we're going to start to do some work today on your issue. You have your shoulder issue, mid-back issue. I know things have changed a little bit since the first time that you filled in your information, but we're going to start focusing and developing a little bit further what that PT is doing for you. We are going to open up the front part of the shoulder with a mobilization. We call it a door stretch. It's going to open up the pec and the anterior delt, and then we're going to reinforce that with the scapular stabilizing exercise that really starts to balance out all of the stuff that we saw in your videos. So again, today we will go through your mobilization and a movement, specifically a door stretch and a scapular retraction. Hey, we're going to talk about a door stretch today. Usually the door stretch is for people who have any type of upper extremity, neck, or mid-back pain, trying to get them out of this flexion, internal rotation situation and provide enough range of motion from these lockdown anterior structures to get into a more stable, extended, externally rotated posture that can be transitioned to all of our upper extremity push and pull movements, as well as reposition our head into a place where we're not overstressing that in our CrossFit, in our functional movements, or in our activities of daily living. So the first thing that we have to focus on is how do we get organized? First, we can have a door, we can have a wall, this can be a car, a tree, it doesn't matter. Sturdy object that I can lock down with my elbow. Some of you might have a little bit of pain in the back of the shoulder because things are so tight here. We can modify this down to keeping our hand about at a hip crease level and just hooking the heel of our palm on the door. That'll decrease the pain through the back part of the shoulder, and you'll be able to more effectively get into the anterior structures. If you can do this one, we start here. If you need to drop down, you'll go to here. The way that we set it up and organize everything else is identical. We're going to show with the elbow bent. So I'm going to lock onto my elbow. I'm going to think of either a throwing position. Right here is the left arm. If I was, in my split jerk, was more comfortable with my left leg forward, do it however you want. Either way is fine because we're going to lock down our torso. Just make it more specific to you. So for me, I'm going to lock down. I always lead with my left in the jerk, so I'm going to get into this position. I need to organize my system. So right now, I could probably just take my hand off the wall, tuck through my hips, okay? I do not want to be in this position when I'm doing my door stretch. Instead, I need to tuck through to stabilize my core and isolate the stretch through the shoulder. So I need to be nice and rigid through this midline. Also, I don't want my head forward. I want it to be where I probably catch my jerk or in a nice position where I can do my computer work without straining my neck. So if I pivot back over here, I'm going to lock down on my core. I could do it with my arm on or off, but this is the number one thing that I have to do. From here, I can put my arm on the wall, catching my elbow on the wall, so I don't want this off. What I'm going to do now is twist through and away. Okay? If you watch this from the front, I'm going to twist through and away to start pulling and getting a lot of stretch through these anterior structures. I'm not looking down. I'm going to try and keep my midline stable as I globally rotate through to initiate some nice solid stretch through this anterior component. What we need to do is make sure that we do light little pulses in here. Okay, we're not bouncing in and out like so. We're not jabbing through here. I'm trying to keep a nice plateaued shoulder angle here, and as I twist through, I'm kind of relaxing deeper into position just to intensify that stretch and say, hey tissues, guess what? You got to get longer. So about 15, 20 of those, switching back and forth between arms. You're going to do this on the affected side. You're going to do it on the non-affected side. Okay, we want to make sure that we're creating balance for our overhead position as well as for that front rack position, push-up position, dip position. All right, that should give you a good idea of how to do the door stretch. Generally, we do this 15 to 20 reps, 2 to 3 sets on each side, as often as every hour. What we're going to hit now is scapular retraction. Okay, a lot of times, again, we'll go through it quickly. Most people find themselves in this flexed and internally rotated situation. What we need to do is find a much better postural situation, which is extension and external rotation with our head right above our shoulder. So we're nice and linear and neutral. There's no flexion, hyperextension situations. We need to stabilize and find a home-based position for our upper extremity. Easiest way to do this is you can do it seated or standing. I'm going to show standing, but realistically, if you're having trouble with hyperextending through your low back, doing this in the seated position might help you. Start off, but we'll show from the standing position. What we'll do is rotate our hands so that our palms are up or our thumbs are pointing back. That takes us out of internal rotation that we spend a lot of time in, puts us into external rotation immediately. From there, what we're going to do is take our head out of this forward posture, tuck our chin just a little bit, so you see a little bit of tuck, and then we're going to look up maybe at about a 5-degree angle. So if I'm looking straight ahead, I'm looking at about this angle. So there is a little bit of lordosis curve, which is natural. If I was looking straight ahead, I'd be almost looking down my nose slightly, which allows everything through my eyes, my temporal region, all the way through the back part of my head and into my neck to relax. So people with headaches, this works great for you as well. So we have my hands rotated, I have my chin tucked, and now my head positioned appropriately. What I'm now going to do is roll my shoulders back and down. Okay, and you see there's this natural scoop that happens with my chest. Now if I do that, I kind of skipped a part, what I need to do is first tighten through my glutes and my abs to set my pelvis. Then I go through that positioning with my shoulders back and down. If I forget and don't set this, it's easy for me to hyperextend into this poor, non-transitionable movement. So first, butts and guts, arms, tuck, up, back and down, relax. Back and down, relax. Just an intensification, contraction in between the lower part of those shoulder blades, relax. Again, relax. From the front, again, set my pelvis, head position. Okay, now I'm organized and set up. Now I can do the movement. So you notice there I kind of switch things around. Generally try and start with the pelvis, but I can kind of, well, if I do that or that, they both go together. The first one has to be that pelvis. Then we get into good position. Pulse, pulse, pulse. What we want to do is do this after our mobilization. Generally it would be some sort of a door stretch or some variant to get something opened up through the front part of the shoulder that we can reinforce with this nice contraction in between the shoulder blades. Probably 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15. This is more postural awareness. Many questions follow this, and people will ask, well, should I do that all day? And yeah, you should, but don't overdo it. People will walk around very robotic and they'll come back in very, very sore. A good rule of thumb is to get into that position the best that you possibly can, then relax so that you're holding on to maybe about 20 to 30% of that, and try and maintain that for as long as possible. You do that, you'll hold on to these as you do them sporadically throughout the day. Good luck. So Nick, you have your first 2 exercises. They're very simple. Add those to whatever you're doing with your physical therapy. Idea being, we want to get you in this solid position so that when we bench, when we do any of our deadlifts, when we do any of our squats or overhead squats, we're always finding and being able to maintain a great extended and externally rotated system. This will get you started. The more that you do this, the quicker we'll be able to progress you forward. So even though this is simple, plow it away. You can do it as often as every hour. The more often you do it, the sooner we'll be able to progress. Good luck.